We are talking about teamwork today, and that means you will work in group together, a couple of people at least, and we'll see how many shows up. So at least two, possibly more in a group, preferably more. So Git is very useful for teamwork, and you often have three types of branches for a project or a specific release. So that will be the main or the master branch, and most Git instances will call the first branch or the master branch. GitHub is using main, so that is important if you are going to work now on GitHub. So either you change it in GitHub so it uses master, or you change it to say main on your command line, unless you just create it in GitHub and clone it, in which case there's not going to be a problem. So there is, of course, this branch, as you have looked at many times now during this course. It is always there. It exists for the entire project. It can be renamed, but it's usually either main or master. Then you might have a development or staging branch for developing or preparing new releases. And this could either exist for the entire release of a project or for just a bug fix for a shorter thing. And then you will merge it into main or master. And then you have things like feature branches. They might be created just for feature development or for also for a bug fix for some minor thing, and then later merged into this development or staging branch, which are then later merged to the main or master branch. So you have one main branch, and you could have several development branches if you have several projects, and you will often have several feature branches, but maybe not at the same time. And then, yes, reminder that GitHub used master before, but now main. I will show you how to change it. So today we will work in small groups, 2 to 4 people. Each group will go to a Zoom breakout room and work together there. I will create breakout rooms. And you will be using GitHub for the remote repository. Uh, you cannot set username, password, and use it on GitHub unless you're using it directly on the site. That's why we set up SSH keys. If you haven't been here for the other days, if you haven't set up SSH keys, you will do that as the first part of the exercises. So to begin with, spend some time looking around GitHub. Try creating a repository, create and edit files on the site, see how that works and feels, so that you get used to the site and see how it works. And then when you have done that and a couple exercises, then the rest of the exercises you will be working together on a small project that will be done from the command line mostly, but with GitHub as a remote repository. And you will do some of the things on GitHub, especially the one who creates the repo to work in the group. And there is 9 exercises in total in this part. The first 2 you will not need to do if you already have the GitHub account and SSH keys. So I will do a very quick refresher for some of the commands. They have all been mentioned before in the course, but I will just mention them here. So git fetch, that's a primary command you use to download contents from a remote repository. And that could example be when your teammate has created a new feature branch, which they have pushed to the remote repository, but which you don't already have in your local repository. So that's when you do that, for instance. But normally, if you are pushing stuff, then you're doing git push. And that is the same as running git merge main, more or less, from inside the remote repository. And you would use that to push or upload your local changes to a remote repository. Then there is Git pull. That is what you use usually as the first thing every day when you come to work on your Git project. And you probably might also do it now and then over the day because otherwise you might see that people have pushed stuff that you didn't have, and it might interfere with what you're working on. But you, at the very least, need to do it as the first thing when you start working on your project each day. That fetches the latest changes from the current branch from a remote and then apply the changes to your local copy of the branch. It's the same as doing a fetch and a merge. You will often do git pull minus minus a rebase if you have some things that have been included from your coworkers, but which you do not have in your local repository. That will work well as long as it's not the same part of the project you have been working on. So git push remote repo to branch, or in many cases, actually just git push, where default behavior is pushing to repository origin and the same branch as you are on in the local. Before pushing, as you have now seen many times, here it looks like this. The origins master or main is pointing here. You have yours pointing here locally. Then you push, and then the origin, the main branch at the remote repository points to the same commit as you do locally. And it looks like this, as you have now seen many times. Git pull, fetching the remote copy. You might use git pull remote repo, but usually you just say git pull because you are not probably switching between repos very often. And then there was this reminder, git pull minus minus rebase, and then possibly list the remote if you switch between them. And that is if you forgot to pull before you staged and committed new stuff and your colleague added something. It fetches the remote but doesn't create a new merge commit. So it looks like this, where you have worked here, your colleague worked here, added some commits, and the origin might be here. Then you do a git pull, and then it sort of glues it all of it together because it's fine because you worked on different parts and then it goes well. If there had been conflicts, if you had worked on the same part of it, then you would have had to do a three-way merge, which I think you talked about yesterday. So this is how it looks if you're pulling from the remote repo and there is a new file, then it just shows you that there was one here. And it did a fast forward merge because you didn't have anything that conflicted. So it will look the same then. You are creating a new branch, you are pushing changes. It looks like this, as we have seen recently. We are creating a branch. We are switching to it with git checkout and the branch name. Then you could create a new file on it. And you could also do a git status. So let's try do the git status first. This is how it looks. And you have modified your file. You haven't yet pushed it. You haven't yet committed, staged it. And it looks like this. This is the command that previously was mentioned you could make an alias for because it's a long one. So if you're using it often, it's a good idea to create an alias for it. But this is simply showing how it looked and what happened here. So these are the commit messages. And this actually depends on the system you're working on. But it is, at most sites, it should be colored like this for easier readability. Some sites may not do this. It's possible to change it, but unless you use it a lot, it's probably not worth it. But probably it will already be colored to make it easier to see how it looks. It's a default behavior most places. So then you add the file and commit it, and you get the usual message. And as always, it's a good idea if you are working on several branches, test if you are actually on the right branch by git branch. There will be a star in front of the branch you are on. And as you remember, you went to my new branch with git checkout. So you are on that. And git status will also tell you that you are on this branch, and it will also tell you that the working tree is clean if you don't have anything to commit. And you can again do this long command to see how it looks. Then push your changes. Remember, this is a new branch you just created, so you need to push it to origin and tell it what you want it to be called there. Or you can just use git push -u origin head, because that is where it will be pushed. And as you can see here, this is actually the old style SSH key with the RSA encryption, because that's what I have on that machine. It's an old machine. So let's check the status. Git status. We have now pushed our new branch, and it is up to date, the origin with my new branch, because it's there, and that means your colleagues now can see it, which they couldn't before, and they can now fetch it. So if they now do git fetch, they will also get this new branch. I will also quickly give an example of merging branches, because you're going to do that. We will merge branches from the command line. And first, before you do that, you want to see what branches are there, both local and remote branches. And you can do that with the command git branch --all. That will list all branches. And if it says remote/origin in front of it, then that is the branches that exist on the remote one. And you can see here that there is actually a new branch that you do not have. And these are the local ones that you do have. So you could fetch to get this branch, or you can continue working if you don't need to work on that, because maybe that is a branch that your colleague is doing a feature on, and you don't work on that part of it. So there's a lot of branches here, and with the star, it marks I'm on my new branch. So I will go to main because I want to merge my branch, and then I do that with git checkout main, and then I do the merge, git merge, and then the branch that I want to merge to my main or master branch. It will open an editor that is either default one or the one you picked to be the default one. And there you write a commit message for why you're doing the merge. There will be some example. there will be a text by similar to this or something. So it will put a text there. And then you can write something as well. And then it does the merge. And this case here, it went well because it wasn't affecting anything that anyone else had been doing. So let's try to git status. And now we see we are on branch main as we had just checked out. And we are also told my branch is ahead of origin main by 2 commits. And I can now push these here because I merged them locally. I pushed them now here, git push. And after doing that, and it going well, then I can do a git status again. And now it says there's nothing to commit and your working tree is clean and your branch is up to date with origin main. So you can see that is the change to here where you were ahead of it. Okay, so we should now go to the first exercises. And exercise 1 and 2, I'm going to assume most of the people here today actually have done that. So you don't need to do this one. This is if you hadn't been here yesterday and done the exercise with the SSH keys. So let us just go past those two and then go directly to the third exercise. There you will play with clone, push, and pull. And the next one is going to be the first teamwork one. So first, do this exercise 3 for yourself, just to learn about the GitHub and how it works together with your remote, how it works as a remote repository together with your local repository that you access through the command line. So go through this, test a number of things, and I suggest that we spend at least 15 minutes on this because it's very important that you know how things are working here before you start going to the teamwork. After that, we will split up into teams, and I will create some breakout rooms, and then you will do the rest of these exercises together as a team. And you will also get to do various merges, and there will also be conflicts that you need to resolve. But let's start with 15 minutes to do this exercise by yourself here. And after that, we will divide into teams. And at the end of the day, I will go through some of the solutions for this.